Okay, guys, I think we're getting started again. We are live. Let's see. Okay, I started the stream. Let me just send again the link to my Discord server. Here's the link. Let me paste it here. Okay, so let me reply to your question, Rafael, on the stream, or maybe I can reply here as well. 20 pages out of 120. Do you think it's worth reading it all, or should I focus on some parts, like model architecture or data acquisition? You want to commit to the project, probably reading the whole thing is not a bad idea, but if you need to prioritize, definitely head to the data related sections for now. Okay, guys, let me know if all is good on my side, if you can hear me. I'm gonna resume where we started, where we ended the last stream. So basically I wrapped up all of the filtering, so I have now in this notes on languages markdown. I've noted all of the comments about different language codes, and I made a list about those language codes that we're gonna filter out. So that list is now stored here in the code mapper, filter language codes, and some of these are not even valid ISO codes. So I think a good first step might be to open up Google and just ask, what's the difference between ISO 639.3 versus ISO 639.2 and also 1. Let's check out this quickly, just to get some context on what's the difference between these different codes. Alpha. Okay, so here is the historical. Let's check out this. Might be useful. We just open the windows. It's a multi-part standard. Just set the stream so I can see your chat. Give me a second, guys. Not this one, but this one. Just move this here. Okay, so multi-part standard by the International Organization for Standardization, with representations of names for languages and language groups. Good morning, Fib. Currently consists of 5 parts. Part 6 was published but withdrawn. It was first approved in 1967. Okay. Okay, so Alpha 2 code. Let me see. Number of languages in the list, 184. Then there is the Alpha 3 code. 482 languages, plus 20 B only, plus 4 special, plus 520. And then there is the Alpha 3 code for comprehensive coverage. In 2007, I guess this is most of the languages in the world. I think there are around 7,000 plus languages, so this might be covering everything. Oh, thanks. I'm using a professional camera, the same one I'm using for YouTube, Sony ZV-1. Let me see. The other codes, okay. Characteristics of individual codes. Relations between the parts. Special codes. Let's quickly skim just this part. All macro languages are living languages, extinct languages. Ancient languages. Historical languages, constructed languages. Okay. If we have a linguistic expert, that would be super cool too. Let me just... Let me just store that as a note, as a to-do to myself to just... Okay. Why do we have extinct languages? I think I've seen this CHB. This one was maybe... No, CHB. Okay, I'm mixing up some codes here. Okay. Let's see, what else do they say here? The three-letter codes are complementary and compatible. The two codes have been devised for a different purpose. Subset of those in 6393. Okay. Who uses the ISO code and why? Okay. We can ignore this for now. So this extends the Alpha 3 codes with an aim to cover all known natural languages. So that's the code we've been using. We've been using 3, and then there is the 6391, which is the two-letter code. Okay. Let's continue, guys. So, Here are the files that we will use. This logic here basically filters out some files and then adds other ones. Let's see how many we have. 979 files found. Just curious to see which ones we cover here. Exactly. Let's rerun this. Okay. So the ones we found there are the Tigray ET in Ethiopia, and then there is the Min Latin. If the suffix is in supported languages. Makes sense. Let's continue. So we want to now go through all of the language directions, and we'll have to change this logic because we know now that some of the directories contain n-way parallel corpuses. So because of that, we can't have this condition here. Let's see how we can handle this. I think we can just reuse the logic here. So obviously if length of files is 0, we can just continue. Otherwise, we can't have this logic here. Instead, let's create something that's bespoke. So we grab the suffix from the file. Okay, what we want to do is go through the files and we want to filter them out. Okay, filter out files. Let's create a custom function. Let's create a function that's going to basically filter out the files that are not good. Okay, so files equals filter out languages, something like that. Not really a creative name. Def filter out lengths, and then we pass in files. Okay, and then we go and say the following thing: new files for file in files. We extract the suffix from the file. If the suffix is in the filtered list, we ignore it. Otherwise, if we are here, here, or here, this might seem redundant, but I want to keep this logic like this for now. So let's just append the file, and we'll have to just copy paste all of this. We could collapse this to a single line, but we don't want to for now. So let's just retrieve the new files. Let's go back down there. So we filtered out the bad files. And now what we do is we want to basically create all of the combinations. So if we have more than 2 files in the directory, that means we'll have like each file can couple with n-1 languages. We'll have on the order of n squared number of directions for a corpus that's n-way parallel, right? So let's see how to do that. Okay. Let me think. Let me just think for a second. So we want to do what? Do we care about language codes for now? I don't think we do. No, actually, we actually do. We actually do care about the language codes. So let's just create a for loop, a double for loop. We go something like this. We say for I in range length of files, and then we say for j in range length of files as well. What do we do? We grab the file I, it's going to be this, and file j. If basically if we have this situation, then we continue. Otherwise, we grab the files, we grab their codes, and then we do what? Then we don't have to do this because we already know that all of these are good. So what we do is we count the number of lines. None of these will be skipped, so we just have to do count the number of lines in file I, number of lines in file I, and then just repeat this for j, and then assert that these numbers are the same. Otherwise, that's a bad thing, and then we only care about one direction because later we'll go through ji. So we just care about this direction, and then we say language, add the number of lines, and we can add whatever number because these two are the same. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. So let's see. We can delete all of this now. Whoops. And now these are valid files. And we get the language code, number of lines. Oops, this is a mistake. So the language code goes here, not the number of lines. Language code, right? So again, file, here is their language code. And then here's the number of lines in those files. Let's make sure they match. And then we create direction and we add that number there and we are done. So now my only fear here is the filter out lengths. This guy is going to these suffixes are fine. Let us map let's do the mapping 1 to 3. So let us always use only the 3-letter codes. So if length of the len code is 2, then just do the following exactly. Hi, Luca. What's up, man? So here for the len code J, if that's 2, then we just again modify it. We map it into the 3-letter code. So that's kind of handled. So we handled these guys. So now what happens if the suffix, what happens if we enter this branch here? In that case, the file doesn't have a suffix. In that case, we can have why not use this function to just return back the file as well as the direction? I think that's the best thing we can do, right? So filter out lengths, we return valid files, but we also return valid directions, rather than duplicating the logic down there. So I think that's what we're going to do. So we're going to do the following. We're going to add the file, but we're also going to add its direction. And direction is going to be suffix we map this suffix to the 3-letter code. In here, we just add the suffix directly because it's already good. And in here, we do what? Fairly verbose name. So here we want to do what? We wanna, if the suffix is here, let's separate this into 2 lines. File, and we get what? We have to grab the suffix, split it here, and then retrieve the 0th part. That should be good. And here, in this situation, the actual file, okay, so the actual file is here, so we do the following, do file split, something like this. Okay, and now we retrieve this back. Okay, so now we have files and directions here. Files and length directions. So now we go through that. That's fine. And then here's the file. And here is the length direction or language code. And here is also the language code. And we can delete all of this. A bit cleaner. We count the number of lines, we do some basic error checking, and we add this direction, and this should work. This should now work, guys. Let's test it out. Okay, unmatched parenthesis. What's up? Where? Analyze the data. Okay, here. Looking good, but we forgot to add one here actually. Okay, we want to add a tuple. Okay, let's restart. Okay, cached LM test. Let's see what that one is. I remember that was a funny named file. Cached LM, and what's the name of the root directory? Indic NLP final repo test. Let's find it. Let's go to Indic NLP, and then what? Final repo, and then test. So here, and then there is this weird cached file. So there is this one. All of these are of the same length, I assume. 2390. 2390. 2390. Same here. Same here. Same here. Same here. Same here. Same here. And same here. Okay, so that means this one is a special case. And it's a binary file. What? Let's try and open it up in an editor so we can ignore this one. We can ignore the cached file. Is there anything mentioned about it in the README? There is not. So we can maybe just delete it or skip it. So maybe not a hard assert. Instead, if this is different, then we just print. Something like this. Okay, guys. We print and we also continue. We don't want to add that one. So we say continue. And we skip that particular direction. Looking good. Number of directions we found is 504 directions. Cool. Okay. And then next up we can do what? We can plot this thing. Let me think for a second. Okay, let's just plot it for now. So here it is, obviously very much unintelligible, and we have to also change to be on the log scale. So let's wrap it up and let's now just add log scale. So for the values, let's go through those directions. And let's create log values. Will this work? Probably. So we grab the values, we convert that to a list, we run it through the MP log, and then we just use those values here. Okay. Let's see how that's gonna look like. Okay, running. After this, guys, we can start going through filtering and processing data. And then we can just iterate. We'll then later go back, because we have to add the mine data. We have to potentially have people from various countries actually do an overview for some of these languages, so we are sure that we are not making any mistakes. So let's see how this looks like after the log is applied. So here you can see how it looks like. Obviously, it would be nicer if we could. Can we actually zoom in here? We need an interactive plot. So this is, I would expect this to be English, one of these. Okay, Turkish, English. Turkish, Russian, Russian, Turkish. So yeah, we have double lines because we duplicated both directions, and so that's why we see this trend. Let's just restart this. Back to previous view. Okay. A lot of these that have the same number, probably they are only covered by the NLLB seed. That's my assumption here. Okay. Guys, this was a good first step. Let me see what else. We've done this. Let's maybe, let me think for a second. I should probably do this first. I'll do this later, offline. Organize datathon also later. Later, difference between ISO codes. We went through this in the beginning of the stream. And again, this is again Discord to-dos. Let me just move this to-do up there, just to clean up this Notion page a bit. We did download the NLLB seed already. Okay. So we'll organize a datathon for those of you who missed out on this, where people will be able to verify and contribute to our data set for their native language. So if you want to apply to be the champion, basically to represent your own native language and to be the person that's responsible to verify that everything makes sense for that particular language, go to the Discord server, to the Meta NLLB replication channel, and just put your name here with some social media. If you want to link something, then I'm gonna put that in our README and create it as a credits section of the README, so people can see you contributed and helped with this project. Okay, let's now maybe, let me check in some of the changes here, and let me start, let me share the repo. There is a ton of changes. We might have to do some refactoring first. before we push this out. Let's see. Or I can do this later. What do you think, guys? I can maybe do this later and just focus on filtering right now on the stream. I think we should do this now so that people can slowly start looking into languages. Okay, let's start. Let me just check what are some of the changes I introduced. Let me close this. Download parallel corpora. Let me close all of this. Close all. See the diffs. Okay, we can revert back these changes. And then the only change here is this required? Yes, leave this as required, and let me just create a config instead so that we don't check in this. So directory. Let's ignore train, fine tune, generate, interactive, current file. I'm not sure what this one is, but we're gonna create a new config called download primary data. And I'm going to add arguments here so that we can pass in oops, just a second, split this to the right and then open up this. Directory equals this. Looking good. Okay, now I can revert this back. What am I doing? Why did I do that? Okay, I just want to do this. There is no default value, and now that file is clean. Next up, example YAML. So all of these YAML files are, I will not be checking those in because those are my local modifications. Let's go to generate multi-script. Let me go to this generate multi under evaluation config. So evaluation config and then generate multi. No, sorry, actually it's under evaluation, this one. This is the right file. Let's just see the changes I made here. Okay, this is definitely not needed. Okay, this might be needed. This is not, these were some changes I had to introduce to get this to run. As you can see, this is also hard-coded. So, not the cleanest way to do this. Although we won't be using this generate function for now, this generate script. So maybe this one is needed, otherwise it will crash. So this is my fix. But setting GPUs to 2, that's just specific to my local setup. This was also needed because this distributed requirements does not exist. So let's check in this. This is fine. We can check in this file. And then there's a train script under modeling train. So modeling train script, let's see this one. So I had to include this. I had to include this. This is again a fix from my side. And then this here is again something I've been running, but might be better to just pass the config. Let me think. I think here we might be able to create a config file for this again and pass in the value instead of hard coding it here. Nah, I'm gonna just leave it like this. This is fine. Somebody who wants to run this will have to take a look at the config either way. So that's the train script. And then there is the index dataset, fairsec data. Okay, data, and then index dataset. Okay. This one, what did I change in here? Okay, this was the fix for the float. This is also needed. And then there is a slurm change. What did I do here? I changed the sleep from 610 to 20. Okay, looking good there. Just made a comment so that people don't get confused. And then everything else here, dictionary, you have to download this. I'm gonna create some instructions how to set everything up later. Notes on languages, we want to add that one. We want to add this one. We want to add this one. This one as well. So let's start adding files, the ones that we need. Ignoring YAMLs. Add this file. Add this one as well. Add this one. Add this one. If you know any easier way to paste into the bash script, let me know. Sorry, this shell, however you call it in Ubuntu. I'm gonna add this as well. Made a mistake here. Okay, looking good. Those are some of the changes I did want to introduce. And then let's go through the analyze data script. Let's just add a main file. Let's pack all of this into the main. Just have some cleaning to be done here. Let's separate the imports into 3 categories. We have the Python packages, we have the installed ones, and we have the local ones modules. Okay, let's go here. Let's use our new function here to filter out the wrong files. Obviously, if let's see, we can just don't care about this variable, so we're gonna set at underscore, go through the files, filter out those files. We have the new files here. Sorry, this is gonna be done here actually. Oops. Files, and then go through these files. So we go through this. And we already know this is going to be valid because that's what this does. Okay. And then we count the lines. And then we store this. We can hard code this because NLLB has 202 languages. Looking good. Okay, and here, number of files found. Isn't this the same logic as what we are doing up there? Yes, it is. Let's just clean this up a bit. Suffix, all of this remains the same. Skipping. Okay. Okay, this looks a bit nicer. And now let's just add, should we do fire or just arg parse? Let's see what the other, what is the coding style of this versec? Okay, let's maybe do it like this then. We get the args. Analyze data. Let's import arg parse. And then what we need is extended. Let's make this extended. And then so this is a root directory where okay, for me that's gonna be analyze data. Datasets root. This one. Double quotation marks. And then what? And then we need one more, and this is going to be called extended length path. I'll check in this file, so something like that, and then let's call it like this. Okay, let's see whether this is working now. Let's run this. Pass in the arguments. Let's call it again. Here it is, here it is. We open, we read this. Find the number of files. Okay, there is some error. Local variable files reference before assignment. Okay, because I made a mistake here for files. Okay, let's rerun this. Good to get some errors before submitting this code. Okay, number of files we found, 2,191. Could that be true? Okay, let's see. Found 98 languages out of 202. Something's off with the counter here. Let's see what we have. Some bug here. What is going on? Why do we have so many files here? Oh, I see. That's all we need to do. Let's rerun. "979, that looks better. Okay, looking good. And then count directions. And we found 504 directions. And then we can print this. Okay, guys, so that's some basic data analysis I've done here. So we can now ignore all of this and we are done. Nice. We can now submit. We can now add this file Let's now clean a bit the code mapper. Let me rename it ISO code mappings. Okay. I'm gonna comment out all of this, but leave it here for later. Okay. And then data sets, we can ignore this. Download by text. Download mind. Okay, let's do it like that. Download the mind data. Zip, we can ignore that. Let's submit this one. And then what else? Line counter. Let's see the line counter code. You can just rename the utils. Okay, what else? What else? What else? Temporary file. This is probably something we don't need. Let's just see what I have inside. Get Okay, we can definitely delete that file. What else? That's it. I've downloaded data, models. I've saved these, SPM, floors, different data sets. And then all of these are YAML files. So we are good. Let's basically submit this. Let's now, what should we do? Should we just switch to a different branch? This is the NLLB branch. Let's go to a different branch. Let's do something like okay, I think how do you do that? Git checkout branch, and then, isn't that the syntax? It's not. Okay, maybe just like this. Okay, yes. Okay. So just commit the work. Plus some fixes. So we have data, and some fixes. Please tell me who you are. Okay, I haven't done this in Ubuntu so far. That's why it's complaining. Please tell me who you are. Git config. Okay, let me just run these guys. Okay, and my name. Looking good. Okay, here it is. And now let's try and push this to the origin. So I'll just have to set up my repo here. Just a second. Can we just fork, or do I need to, or maybe I can just push that to a new repo? I think I can just fork the original FairSec NLLB. Let me just fork. What's going on? Okay. How does that sound for a name, guys? Open NLLB. Or maybe something like Open NLLB. Something like this. Copy the main branch only. Why would they want to do that? I think this is the right? Let me just see what this is. Okay, add collaborators. Okay, we have all of the branches here. We basically needed the NLLB one. Fair enough. We'll change the README as well. Now let's just grab the URL here and just git set remote origin. Do we already have origin? Okay, so that means we want to do the set URL and then change this to actual NLLB. Okay. Okay, I hate this. Asking me to provide the password to push the branch upstream. On Windows, this is it just doesn't ask me for any credentials. So there is something that needs to be set here to make this the same experience as in Windows. I don't remember exactly how. What I can do is pass a authentication token instead to just solve this issue. I'm just thinking whether we should remove everything that we don't need from the parsec codebase, but we can leave that for later. For now, this is enough. I just want to push out something that you guys can start playing with it. and so that you can see my code. Okay, give me a second. I just need to grab my tokens from GitHub. Settings, authentication, tokens, GitHub token. Generate new token. Token name, open NLLB. Nah, snap. Let's just create a classic one. Generate a classic token and then open NLLB. Expiration, no expiration. Public. Okay, looking good. Let me try this again. Push to origin. Okay. That's it, guys. Looking good. So we've set so here is a code base. I'm gonna paste it here. Everything of interest is basically under examples, NLLB. Actually, you have to, that's gonna be confusing for people. We should make it on the main branch. We have to go here and then examples and then NLLB. And that's where you find this is where the code is. Remember to set the branch to NLLB replication. Okay, that's it. Let me pin it. Let me remove some of these projects. Maybe I can remove Deep Dream or GANs. I'm gonna remove GANs. Remove the GANs and add the NLLB. Okay. Sounds good. That's where you'll be able to find it. Here's my GitHub URL. If you're lazy to search, here it is. And let me now just update the notes. So we have okay. Let's now go and start playing with filtering. So let me just think for a second about these tasks I have here. Organize a datathon, audio translations. It's gonna come later. Make sure people are aware of the NLLB channel. Okay. If we have a linguistic expert, okay. Where can we create a shared document so that we can just keep track before we start integrating there? Let me just create a new note here. Okay. Created a document where we'll keep track of language champions. Let me just take a couple names I've seen before. So Razan here will be Kurdish. Okay. And then we have And then we had more people, I think, in the general channel. So if we go here, language verification. Okay. Sounds good. That's the start. Let me just move this to here. Okay, I kind of started this task. I'll make a announcement asking for experts and announcing the datathon, announcing the channel, and announcing this. So basically create at everyone Discord post in the announcements to cover the below 4 tasks. Okay, now let's go back to coding, guys. Okay. We have our data. What's next? What's next is that we have to go to Stopes. So that's basically the repo that's supposed to do the filtering and processing. So let me just quickly stretch my legs, and we are continuing then to do this. Small break just to stretch the legs, grab some water, and I'll be back. What's the equivalent of Notepad in Ubuntu? Guys, anyone? Quarter note, scratchpad. How do you call this? Notepad Ubuntu. No, I'm not asking for those. Okay, let me just open. Okay, guys, see you in a couple minutes. I'll be back. I'll be back. Okay, guys, I'm back. I'm back here. So, let us do just one thing that I forgot to do before we start filtering. Let's go to analyze data. Hi there. Hi Aleksa, I have a question outside. Do you recommend any resources to learn how to design Chrome extension and integrate it with LLMs? Oh my god, Chrome extensions are the worst thing you can do. There are many issues. The documentation is not great. They've been changing between manifest v2 and 3.0. We can maybe continue this discussion in Discord because I cannot give you a TLDR, honestly. Unfortunately, and thanks for the kind words. Okay. What happened here? Did we save this? Okay, it seems we didn't save this. Okay. I just want to quickly make it clear in the README what this effort is about so people can see it and know what's going on. The main goal of this effort is to release truly open source and NLLB checkpoints that can be freely used even for commercial purposes. Below is the original FairSec README. Join the AI Epiphany Discord server and the NLLB application channel to track the updates. Channel if you want to contribute. Okay, that's one thing, and then Okay. Let me just paste the link for the server. Copying the exact name of the channel. Okay, let's see how that looks like. Maybe we can put open NLLB effort. Daily video streams here. Okay, let's quickly submit that change. Oh no, it's always asking me. I have to fix this. It's always asking me for passwords. This sucks so much. Let me just save this somewhere so that I don't lose it. Okay, that's it. We are done. How can we set? There is one more thing we have to do, guys. Otherwise, when somebody comes here, they just see this, and that's confusing. So let's just set this as the default page. That's a must. Just move this here. Any ideas? How does one change the default branch? Main page, settings, under default branch, click, and then select the branch drop-down menu and update. Okay, so let's go here. Am I blind or I don't see the... sorry, settings here. Default branch. Change replication. Okay. Looking good. So now when somebody enters here and opens this, who's gonna be the first star, guys? Or can we... Oh, yeah. I'm gonna be the first star. Yes. This is my first star repo. Looking good. Let's play with stops now. Are you guys still with me? Here is stop. And we want to start playing with filtering. Filter. This is the main file, and there are some instructions how to do this. Fully managed by Stopes. Data filtering is performed here. Let me see whether I have opened it up somewhere. Stopes, nope. We should probably add Stopes here. Just trying to organize myself a bit. Oh no. I think I've stopped the stream accidentally. Wait just a second, what's going on? Are we still online, guys? Just a second, I screwed up. Do you guys still hear me? Anyone? Okay, I think we are still on. Apologies about this. Let me just try and reopen the stream and we can start playing with filtering. Okay. I lost all of the messages. Can somebody just type something in the chat so that I know you're seeing this, you're hearing me? Okay, seeing and hearing. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Sorry about this. Let's go to filtering pipeline. Let me close all of this. And let me just move this to a separate window so we can keep it nice and organized. So, okay, filtering. Let's kind of go through this quickly to see what's going on, and then we can run these scripts to start filtering the dataset we downloaded. Okay, this is a legacy code that is older than the rest. It has not been ported. Do not depend on it, that it will eventually be refactored. Applies various filters to bytext with optional support for monolingual. Is configured with Hydra. Before being able to run the filtering pipeline, you will need to create configuration files containing the list of corpora and the set of length factors. This can be done by running the popular data config file script and then compute length factors respectively. Please consult the help of those scripts by running them with H to learn more, blah, blah, blah. Basic run using default parameters might look like this. So we go the filter script with setting these data configs and length factors, I guess. Using the output directory. As specified above. This will additionally load the default example config. Anything not specified on the command line will be set to the default value specified in the filter config. Okay. Okay, so we have example, these two configs, and the base configs. Let's go and start playing. Okay, so first things first, let's find populate data config under scripts. Here it is. Do I have any changes whatsoever there? I have. I can later push these changes as well. Okay. We have to set a couple of parameters here. Location of back translated data. I've set this to required false because we will not be using back translated data for now. Mine data root, again false. Primary train paths. Here are those. We actually need contain data sets. I think we need to put data sets here. That's going to be the root. If you recall correctly from before, That's where I'm storing all of the primary data sets. And then data config directory. This is where we want to dump these. Okay, so this is where we store. Okay, hi one pot dish. I don't know how to refer to you, but we've been doing a bunch of stuff. Basically, we're trying to open source the checkpoints behind the No Language Left Behind project, and so we've been going through papers, we've been going through code bases. I just wrapped up. We downloaded last night the primary data sets and took this morning to basically go through manually through the data sets and analyze them. So there's been a ton of stuff going on, but you can continue watching. Currently trying to set up the filtering pipeline so that we can filter out the parallel corpuses that we just downloaded last night. So that's kind of the TLDR. You can check the Discord server here. In particular, this channel, the Meta NLLB replication. I'm posting updates there, so you can engage there. That's probably the best place to engage. Hope that answers your question. Let me continue. So again, this is where we store the files, and then exclude corpora. Okay, and then finally data type. We're gonna focus only on primary for now. No worries. Mind, ignoring this, just so that we can set up the whole pipeline end to end and kick off the training run. And then later we can start adding more data and iterating and filtering that data. And again, just make sure everything, we have the muscles built up to run this. Okay. Let's run this and see whether it works. Let me just see the launch JSON. Do I have something prepared data? This is just the no arc config. That's how I'm going to call it. And let's go back to the filtering function. Filtering script. Where are you? Here it is. No, actually we are looking for prepare. Okay, populate data config. This is where we stopped. Let's run it. Parse the arguments, enter the main, unfiltered corpora. So here is where all of that is going to be stored in. Filter out. Filtering filter configs. Unfiltered corpora. This is where we're going to store the final YAML. So depending on what we are processing, we enter this branch now and we open. Let me just rename this into Pico because I previously played with this particular data set, so that we don't override the previous value. Let's go back to where we stopped. So we now open a new file. Here it is. And then we write to it. We convert whatever is retrieved back by this get primary data sets. We sort the keys and we convert it to YAML, and then we write to that file. So let's go to the primary data set. And then let's go through the what? Through the paths. Okay, let's see what's gonna happen there. So as a reminder, here is the datasets root, and we have a bunch of datasets inside. So let's see if we iterate through it. We are slowly going to, no, we actually, let me see. It grabbed just a single one, and this is a mistake. So we didn't call with the right arguments. So what I have to do instead is modify this script such that we grab all of the directories, not just, let me just think for a second, what's the best thing to do here? Let me think. Do I want to modify this function, or do I want to change the arguments that we use to call the script? That's the question. Okay, oftentimes, no, this will not work, because oftentimes we don't even have that same structure. Like here, here, all directories have a bit different structure. These ones have the right one. These ones are a bit different as well, because they are Indic languages and it's n parallel corpus. These ones have the right structure. These ones don't. Again, not the right structure. Actually, this one is okay. This one is not. This is okay. This is not. This is okay. This is okay. This is not. And this is not. So as you can see, it's expecting here, it's trying to find this particular format underneath the current path. So let's think. And only if it ends with GZ, it's going to grab it and get the corpus name. As you can see, this is completely wrong. It thinks that the source is NLLB and target is seed. What's the best way to go about this? The best way to go about this is, why are they asking for GZ always? Ultimately, what they want to do is create something like this. Language direction, name of the dataset, source and target. Okay. Actually, okay, here we will look both for GZ as well as for regular files. That's fine. That's fine. Okay, we have to analyze and understand this function so we can modify it to get it to run with heterogeneous structures that we currently have in our primary data set. We can do a couple of things. We can shoehorn our current structure into this required structure. That's also a possibility. Or we can modify this to handle heterogeneous structures. What makes more sense? So, should we go here and then grab... So this data set, as you can see, is correct. It has expected directions, and then underneath it, there are the actual parallel corpuses. So English, and this is Amharic or something, I'm not sure. This one is good as well. No, this one is not good. So here we would have to create a parent directory that says aka and then dash and then eng. Same, no, here it's okay as well. Here it's not okay. Here it's not okay. Same here, same here, same here. We can definitely do that. But let's first understand what exactly it does, assuming that the structure is correct. Let me pass in one particular data set, like Tico. Instead of the root, let me stop the program. And let me pass in here Tico. So now this should work. So we go here. We have the path. We find the directories. And then we go one by one. We split to get the direction. We get direction, so we have the Russian, Spanish, and then underneath the directory, we try and find the files. Okay, fair enough. And then we combine those two files by doing the plus, and we go through the files, and we split this. We grab the file name. If it ends with GZ, we just extract the actual file name. We try and find the dot. And we just grab the corpus name. So the corpus name is going to be Tico 19 Russian Spanish. So we're going to ignore this last part. What if our file name doesn't have this? What if we don't have a dot in the name? Then what happens with our find? So let's just play for a second with that idea. Let's open up this. Let's go to analyze data. Let me comment out this particular function. Actually, let me just create a playground file. If we have a file name like blah blah, what happens if we do this? Will we return an empty string or will we return the complete string? That's the ultimate question. So file name, try and find, but this file doesn't have the dot. And so we retrieve something, but I'm not sure what. what's the default behavior of our find? That's the ultimate question. And then we just print the corpus name and we are done. Let's see. So -1. Okay, so that means he didn't find it. That means we're gonna just grab the whole name and that's it. Okay, that's actually a reasonable behavior that I wanted to see. So here we get the corpus name, and then to that corpus name we add the target suffix, and then we have the target path, which is going to be directory / target name. This is dangerous because some of the data sets will be violating this particular assumption. For example, this one, let's open up the NLLB seed. If you open up one of these, this does not have a suffix. So what we'll end up doing is corpus name will be the same name, and then we'll try and append the target directions to the file name, which will make it fail because that file does not exist. We'll basically try and add English here, right? And what happens then? We have target path. If it's not a file, then we're skipping the corresponding file is missing. So we're gonna just ignore these, and we don't want to waste our data set. We want to preserve the data. And then we just save source path and target path. Let's see, I'm still confused a bit. Both files are in there. So now we only have the Russian. Why? Russian, Spanish. Let's open up the Tico. Let's open up this one. Russian, Spanish. Okay, so we should have found both the Russian and the Spanish files, right? Here. This one should be empty and this one should have both. Why don't you have... Okay, because you're actually looking for source. Okay, got it. And then you're looking for target. Okay. And then find the data set and store it here. For that direction, for that corpus name, I understand the semantics. Let's now think what's the best way. How do we proceed here? Do we want to create a function that modifies why do we let's see what direction is. Why don't we just include both directions? That's also confusing part. Direction. Why do you assume this is source, this is target? You can always flip, right? You can translate both directions. Okay. Why don't you include both directions? Source. We'll never be going over that directory again. 76. Let's see what the paper says about directions. So, paper direction. Okay, there is a ton of, as expected, directions. So if we have 200 languages, you can go from 1 to each one of them, and then you can do the same thing in the opposite. Okay, so for each of the languages, each of them can attend to 201 if we assume 202 languages. So that means in total we have 201 times 201 roughly. Is that correct? Yes. So basically, how I see this is 201 languages that this particular, so we have 202 languages. One of them can attend to 201, and the same goes for all of our languages because we don't want to have self edges. So that means we do this, and then we get 40,401, and then for some reason they have 201 more. I think they literally included self-translations. That does not count. That's weird. You don't want to translate from German to German. That's a tautology. You can be 100% accurate by doing that. Okay, anyhow. So let's see how they deal with directions. Three of 202 languages and total of 110 translation directions. Okay, this is the ablation dataset. I'm curious more about the primary dataset. Let's see whether they mention both directions. Nope. Both directions. Okay. Note that while the teacher model is trained on both, the distilled is only trained on these guys. Okay. They also do not include reverse directions. Okay, that's what I'm interested in. Let's see. We summarize in table 52 some of the main datasets used in our training. Direction counts refer to the number of directions used in this work, which may differ from the total number of directions made available by the corpus. As we saw before, we are not using all languages. They also do not include reverse directions, such that English Latin to French Latin does not also contribute to the count there. Complete training configuration files are available in our repo. Why would they do that? Do they train on reverse directions? We train all what? Okay, I've seen this already. We train on SSL. We train all the models. Okay. On the full dataset made up of primary. We train bilingual models. Okay, I don't think we'll find the answer here. Yeah, definitely not. So maybe that's gonna be left as a to-do. Didn't find the answer in the paper. Okay. So let's maybe just do what they've done. A single direction that's basically indicated by the, but what happens, wait, what happens if we don't have that parent directory as we saw before? So what happens in situations where you don't have English to French here specified, but instead you have something like directly? So do you want to include these in both directions or just a single one? And if a single one, which one? So I say we go and include them in both ways. I think that's what we should do. Okay. That's my thinking on this topic. Include both directions, and now let's think how we can include the files For Indic languages, we'll have multiple. It's n-way parallel, so we'll have to create all of the possible combinations. So this particular function does not handle. This does not handle that case, right? It's obvious that they did not share the latest code. That much is certain. Okay. What to do, what to do. Okay, I say we handle this. I say we create a new function. Okay, so here we specify let's quickly go through this once more and see the structure of our data. So this one has okay. Why do I have 2 deco? Just double check this is not an error. So we have 3061, and here, if we go to English Spanish here, 3071. Okay, so that means we want to actually remove the English Spanish here. And we want to copy from this one. Those are just some changes I made before, so that's why I'm doing this. English Spanish. Let's copy paste it to here. Okay, here it is. And you should now have 3071. Exactly. Okay. That's fixed. Let's now delete this one. And let's now analyze all of our data. So, flat. This is the expected structure. Again, expected. Flat. Expected. Flat. Flat as well. Well, actually, this one is not flat. It has the directory here. Flat with an additional file that we don't need. Train TSV. I'm not sure what this is. Looks like yet another data set. Why TSV? This doesn't look like a TSV format. Oh, actually it does. Okay, this is English and then some language here. Presumably Yoruba. So this is just a merged file. Okay, this is expected. Flat. This is n-way parallel. So this is very, very specific. Expected, flat, expected, flat, expected. So for the most part, all of them are either flat or in the expected hierarchy. And then there is the INDIC NLP dataset, which is n-way parallel. And also there is a couple of examples where we had some files that we don't actually need. I think it might be easier to modify the input structure. Than to play with the code. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I don't want to waste any more time. Sorry that this took so long, but that's life. Adapt datasets structure. So given the root, copy path. This is the data sets root. We're going to iterate through that directory. So let's go like this. For let's just import the OS package. So for OS list there, like this, we are going to do what? For directory name, actually this is going to be dataset name in here. Print processing dataset, and then we're gonna go and create the dataset path, and then we're gonna see whether we have directories or we have there are three special cases. There are the flat ones, they are the ones that have the right structure, the expected structure, and there is the INDIC NLP. So so if the length of subdirs is greater than 0, we have one case, and then the second one, we found files. if this is the case, and then we just break. Here we're gonna break because we don't want to actually iterate. Okay, actually, this is a bit ugly. I'm gonna do something like data set content like this, and then if there are directories in here, okay, it has directories, then it's one type, else we are in the flat version, and then we want to basically add additional directory so that it has the expected structure. And then later we can just, when we are downloading the data, we can run the script automatically. Okay. Assert that the length of the content is 2. And in that case, we are going to make a directory. Direction 1. Something like this, and then direction 2 is something like this. There will be some edge cases, but we get the directions, and then we make 2 directories. Here name 1 is going to be direction 1, and then the direction 2 exactly, and then we do this, and we do this, and then we just copy the files, we just move the files. Roughly like this, but a bit differently. So we can actually do both renames. Okay, guys. We'll continue this a bit after the break. It's 6:30 in Belgrade, so I'm already super tired. I'm gonna do some workout and then get back here fresh. In 2 hours, we can continue building up the script. So the idea here will be to shoehorn the structure of our data set such that we can easily later run that config file, the script for basically deciding which parts of the corpuses we want to use later for processing. That's the idea. Catch you a bit later, guys. See you. Hopefully you enjoy this one.